This is Witch-based news for Friday the 1st of May 2026. I'm Commander Buur. In Elite Dangerous news this week, a mysterious coordinated pirate force continues to ravage the core systems of the bubble. There's a free paint job and more in this week's community goal, and a surprising change to a ship's entrance ramp this week raises both questions and eyebrows. If you enjoy our videos, consider subscribing to the channel and remember to ding the little bell to make sure you see all our content and community posts. And if you'd like to help support our channel, links to our Patreon and everything else are in the description below. Since they originally began to surface in mid-April, reports have continued to trickle in from the in-game Galnet news service surrounding attacks by a mysterious pirate-style mercenary group. In the initial report regarding a theft at a fabrication facility, the still unidentified raiders were described as coordinated and well equipped, further underlining that they were not just opportunistic pirates or local criminals. The report also noted that their ships were heavily modified and displayed unfamiliar insignia. A little over a week later and multiple further attacks have occurred in systems across the bubble, again all displaying a high degree of coordination, with the report on Galnet noting that the raids this time resulted in the theft of what it described as military supplies. I'm guessing military supplies translates to things like armour, weapons and ammunition, and not catering sized tins of baked beans. One other further detail emerged in the second Galnet story that is worth sticking a pin in for later reference. Whilst the initial report on the mysterious interlopers described unusual markings on the attacking vessels, the next reported appearance of our mystery antagonistas made a point of noting that they uploaded malware to resident security hardware during their raids, and that malware displayed what it describes as a twin axe motif. A quick Google around has turned up no previous occurrences of any organisation or faction running with a twin axe logo that I can find, so it's likely if this organisation isn't new, then we've at least not seen them represented in the game at any point in the past in a significant way. Further to all this, again via Galnet, an unnamed underground source is now claiming that what they're calling a rogue pirate strategist has united a coalition of pirate ships under one banner, that presumably of the Twin Axe, and the attacks that we're seeing are the result. When these attacks first surfaced, we were initially of the opinion here that they likely signalled the rise of a foe that we'd see as part of the operations update, a tougher form of NPC that required coordinated commanders to overcome, and to be honest I'm still of the opinion that the laying down of this groundwork by Frontier is part of that requirement. However, whilst unconfirmed specifically at this point, recent events would seem to suggest that perhaps these individuals are a useful plot MacGuffin outside of the operations framework as well. If you've been keeping up with recent events in the game, more on that in a moment, then you'll know that right now there are 4 starports in the Lu Mans system that have been attacked and are, as I speak these words, on fire, offline and being evacuated. Attacking and successfully damaging a starport, as any one commander who has ever tried it will attest, is no mean feat. In prior scenarios where this has been achieved, it has largely been successful via a terrorist attack from within, utilising explosives laced with captured Thargoid technology, or as a direct result of an attack by the Thargoids themselves. If this most recent flaming outrage is indeed the work of our Twin Axe strategist and their newly rallied pirate horde, then their actions are now leaking into the main game universe with real in-universe effects, and that one fact changes the tempo of the game for everyone caught in the maelstrom around them. Just in case you missed it before we dig into our next item, the latest new ship to enter the game, the Zorgon Peterson Lynx Highliner, is not only available now, but it's also available completely for free. You still need to visit the ARX store in order to unlock it, but the price of the regular no frills can't wait to be outfitted and upgraded largely E-rated version of the ship is a princely 0 ARX. It's worth underlining as well, if you are in the market for the Stellar or Galactic pre-built version of the ship with all their various ship kit and paint job additions, then they are discounted to 16,480 and 43,480 ARX respectively, down from the usual 33,000 ARX for a Stellar and 60,000 ARX for a Galactic edition that you might expect for a ship of its comparable size. If you missed our review of the new budget airline styled passenger hauler, you'll find it linked on screen now. And while we're talking passenger hauling, again, in case you missed it, the current CG in the game features the burning starport evacuation that requires a ship outfitted for passenger hauling. We don't yet know how available these scenarios will be after the CG finishes, and it's a fantastic example of Elite Dangerous set piece theatre, and for just one contribution you'll also receive a Zorgon Peterson decal to adorn your ships, as well as a free Lynx Highliner paint job, so make sure you don't miss out. You'll find links to all our Highliner videos in the description below, including a guide on how to participate and complete the evacuation missions that are needed for this week's community goal. Alongside this week's new ship launch, Frontier delivered a healthy serving of fixes and tweaks. A significant portion of the patch notes focused on the game's audioscape, with balance passes on everything from NPC footsteps to the sound of your own on-foot breathing. Outside of the audio realm, there were some notable combat adjustments. In particular, the effective damage range of suppressed on-foot weaponry has been buffed from a modest 40 meters to a much punchier 128 meters. However, sitting right at the top of the bug fixes was a surprising addition that, I think it's fair to say, almost no one saw coming. If you don't own an Imperial cutter or haven't spent much time standing underneath one, you might be unaware of its little scaling problem. Part of the cutter's forward landing gear includes a grand stairway leading into the ship. These stairs were modelled years before the Odyssey expansion ever allowed commanders to set foot on a planet. Because Elite's sense of scale can be deceptive, the issue wasn't truly apparent until we could stand right next to them. The reality? Prior to this week, those stairs were so hilariously out of whack that any Imperial citizen hoping to ascend them would need a leg span of a literal giant. To climb the signature colossal projection of Imperial design, you essentially needed legs like tree trunks. Following this week's patch, that oversized oversight has finally been rectified. The Imperial cutter now features a brand new set of fully animated, correctly scaled stairs. Granted, the tunnel of teleportation is still at the bottom and there's still no gameplay reason to actually walk up them, but they at least look correct now. The ship even has some fancy Gutermeyer illuminated billboards at the top of the stairs, boldly proclaiming its own magnificence, which is a fantastic detail and just feels so unashamedly Imperial and Gutermeyery. This change comes hot on the heels of the Lynx Highliner, whose own Blue Tunnel of Despair is positioned inside the ship at the top of the entrance ramp. Even with the best will in the world, you can't call that a ship interior, but credit where it's due, it's a significant aesthetic improvement over having the blue teleportatron sitting on the ground. I'll take the win. Naturally, this raises questions such as, will the Cobra Mark V, the latest iteration of Elite's classic design released for the 10th anniversary, get a similar refresh? Regulars to this channel will know we investigate all new ships to the game, and we found the Cobra in particular lacking the connective tissue required to facilitate a suitable physical transition to the ship's interior, and that ship was designed after Odyssey launched. Meanwhile, legacy behemoths like the Corvette, Anaconda and Beluga don't even have an access ramp to speak of. When landed, they rely entirely on the blue tube of sadness for ingress. You could be forgiven then that, when viewed collectively, the Imperial Cutter and Lynx improvements are leading somewhere, that these are the first tentative baby steps towards full ship interiors. As much as I don't want to rain on that parade, and trust me, I really don't, my gut tells me that's not what's happening here. I'd be deliriously happy to be proven wrong, but I suspect Frontier simply saw an easy win with the Lynx Highliner's boarding flow, and perhaps the Cutter's stairwell mismatch became an internal eyesore that finally hit the top of someone's fix list, particularly if it came up again and again while developing operations, but I doubt the two are actually connected by any grander roadmap. To me, actual ship interiors feel just as far away as they've ever been. Regardless, any improvement to our favourite space sim is a victory. We can only hope the ship design team is able to lead into the progress made with the Lynx and apply that boarding ethos to all future builds. Are you rescuing singed passengers for this week's CG? Who do you think the mysterious pirate force is being guided by? And do you believe the Cutter and Lynx editions are leading towards a future with ship interiors? Let us know in the comments below. That's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back later this week with more videos. Until then, 07 Commanders, follow the greens on the way out and do keep clear of the toast rack. We very much look forward to seeing you next time.